Welcome friends, we're getting deeper into 2020 and development of 7 Days to Die continues. It is slow, it is steady. There's going to be quite a lot of things to look at for Alpha 20, however we have only seen a bit of it unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to a lot of cool things. In this video I'm going to go through 4 things that I think are coming in Alpha 20 that might have been missed in the discussions but I think are really cool and worth to really take a little deeper look at. And if you're wondering when Alpha 20 is coming out, there's always a comment. Well, I will cover that as well towards the end, so make sure you stay to watch the video until you hit the end and I will be discussing it there. I'll give it straight from what the Fun Pimps have been saying. Well, sort of anyway, you know how they are. But first, let's take a look at something I am really excited about, and namely the Gasser Zombie. And let's have a look at the picture they have released it. Some people will probably recognize him as the Hawaiian Zombie HD update, but it goes way beyond that. Not only is he an upgrade of the model, and doesn't he just look so great, well, in a disgusting, bloated, disfigured way, but beyond looking awesome, they're also including that jiggle physics. You can see that bloated belly that is swinging around everything, the chin, the double, triple, whatever quad chin that it's having. It looks really nice, and I'm glad that they're putting into that on more zombies. As you can see in the clip here, Lathan has been showing him off, and can you imagine him rushing at you with those big arms wanting to give you a nice big hug? And of course the radiated version. And as if that's not enough to have him look good, the intent that they've stated is to call him the Gasser, not just the Hawaiian Zombie. And what does that mean? Well, it means that he's supposed to be a special infected. And the idea is that he's releasing some kind of gas around him, which I believe that has some debilitating effects. Maybe nausea, maybe poor vision. And it would be cool if it actually buffs up the zombies around him as well. Maybe increased damage, maybe increased infection chance and speed or whatever. I think they've been fairly tight-lipped about the specifics because maybe they're not quite sure how they can implement the best way, but I think it's a great change. Make him more ferocious, make him more different than just an update on the model, because we definitely need more special affected zombies, sort of to up the challenge rating and be more distinctive when you're having a horde rush you. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying my videos, why not hit that like button? If you really enjoy my videos, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. It's free of charge. Second thing to look at is new weapons. While in Alpha 19 and previous, they seem to be focused on adding on later game weapons. You had the sniper, the auto shotgun, and so forth. In Alpha 20, they seem to be moving back towards a bit more primitive weapons. I think it's going to be interesting. I suspect we'll be looking at extending the early game bit, padding that out, not making it feel weird, but making the progression a little bit more, how shall we say, gentle. Not just going from bow up until pistol, but now we're going to have a pipe pistol, pipe rifle, and instead of sort of leapfrogging as we do now, where you sort of quickly go into the pistol, then the hunting rifle, and then you get everything else. So it might fit a slightly slow progression as well, just sort of draw it out just lightly, a little bit more to sort of let you have a better feel for it, because I personally miss that early game when everything is new and you're sort of struggling to get into it, you're using your bow and everything. I mean, hand on heart, how many times have you really been using the bow after, I don't know, day 7, day 10 or something? Me, I always find a weapon and then I sort of let the bow go maybe when I run out of ammo and I'm on top of a building or something. But I don't use it as much as I would do, say, back in Alpha 14, 15 or 16. So it's been increasingly where the early game has sort of been compressed a little bit too much, and it's been a little bit artificial in how they've been trying to extend things by, oh, here's a stone shovel when you go shopping at the Workman Stiff Tools, which is like, it doesn't make sense, right? So I hope they sort of make that a little bit more organic, that whole growth. I do wonder how they're going to deal with the blunderbuss though, because that's already a primitive shotgun and they've been showing, well, having a pipe shotgun. So I'm not really sure what they're doing there, but we're going to be seeing how that actually ends up. And here you see a picture of the primitive pipe shotgun. So it looks interesting, sort of obviously it's maybe one fire one, then you have to reload a little bit like the blunderbuss. Hopefully it has a slightly better range than the blunderbuss, maybe a little bit more powerful. And you have the pipe rifle, which is, it looks sort of similar like a rifle anyway, but I guess it's just more primitive, something that you could sort of make yourself early game. So the third point is really moving on to the scenery, the generation, and the POIs. And one thing that they were covering was something which didn't really garner a lot of hyper-attention. I think it can, however, possibly have a huge impact on gameplay relating to scenery. Doesn't that sound boring? As we all know, there's been a challenge with the world generation. If you compare Naviskane, which is handcrafted, with a random world, you'll know that they're really different. Naviskane has tall mountains, where be it in the snow biome or not. It's got islands with beachside properties. Random worlds generally do not. They might have sort of rolling hills and everything, and that's just not distinctive enough. What they're doing is looking at putting in templated areas that they can pre-craft a number of locations, say a mountain or lake or canyon, and insert those seamlessly into a map. Done correctly, I see this having a huge impact on making the maps a lot more varied, not just hilly areas and some lakes, but making it a lot more distinctive in a really cool fashion, similar to sort of how the maps might be in Naviskane. We're going to see how this turns out, but I really do think that has a potential of making the maps a lot better. And the Fun Pimps have also been continually updating and adding more POIs, and it's come away from, say, Alpha 15 or 16, where we now have so many new and updated POIs, points of interest, new graphics, new blocks. And especially Tier 4 POIs have been somewhat missing, and they don't seem to be adding in a Tier 5. At least adding a few Tier 4 would be really good. And we have here the warehouse, which looks like it's sort of covering a really big area. Personally, if it said IKEA on it, it would sort of look like IKEA in yellow up on the wall. It would sort of look like an IKEA mall. But one thing that I really think would be cool for some of these new POIs is that don't necessarily have to have a big loot room at the end, but sort of increase the loot and resources all over. Maybe this would be a good place to raid for, let's say, electrical, mechanical parts, cement, iron, brass, and what have you, but not specifically having a loot room at the end, but maybe just pallets of cement all over, maybe some brass items, maybe brass, I don't know, brass bars or whatever you can get. Maybe piles of scrap iron, things that you can loot that you can use throughout the whole game without there being that, oh, I'm looking for that secret loot room where they're fortified and put in that grenade launcher, which sometimes doesn't make a lot of sense. Here's another POI, a smaller gas station, and not all POIs need to be big ones. Small ones help to give variety, and of course they're a lot faster to create, and having more of these ones just means less duplication, which I think frankly has been a problem, even though it's gotten better consistently across the alphas, especially as they've been putting out more amazing builds. Next, let's look at some of the zombies that they have been updating the models for as well. And the aim is to upgrade all the zombies to HD models, and while there have been some hits and misses, I'm glad that they're taking the time and having the team just make them look better. Here, for instance, is a look at this zombie dog, and it's been in the game for ages. Loved, hated, maybe as they snuck up on unsuspecting players and just tear them to shreds. But the new model really does look very ferocious, and I love that they've updated it because it's gotten quite dated. And by the looks of it, it's going to help survivors get nice and infected in no time. We also have the new burnt zombie that we often find in the burnt forest, and it looks like to have a lot of similarities with the zombie dog, at least look-wise, and maybe that's a good thing. I like the glowing eyes. I'm not sure whether that's the feral one. It probably is. But if you recall the early version, they had this sort of burning look to it where actually getting close to them and getting hit by them would set you on fire. And I think that would be cool. I'm not really sure how you could sort of have a zombie that is on fire that then would then take damage from a Molotov and everything. Maybe you should make them fire invulnerable. Maybe that would be cool at least. Having some flames and smokes coming off the zombie. Yes, it does seem like a little bit like fantasy-ish, but maybe if you do that for the radiator because it's healing enough, it's radiated, so it's healing up its wounds even as the skin is burning. Maybe that would be cool. What's your take on adding something like that? A lot of the changes highlighted so far have been related to graphical improvements, but they have teased other game mechanics as well without going into a lot of detail. It is clear that they are trying to polish up the game rather than adding tons of new features at this stage, however. So what are you most excited about for Alpha 20 so far? What's missing? What needs significant changing? I didn't on purpose dive into bandits because that still seems to be beyond Alpha 20, unfortunately. Junk Drone, I actually haven't heard them mention that as completed or even added for Alpha 20, which I think is a big pity, and I really hope that they make it into Alpha 20 because people were so disappointed when it didn't make Alpha 19 despite their assurance it would be. And coming here, I promised I'd cover when Alpha 20 will be released. And while Fun Pimps normally do not comment too much on specifics, they always end up saying something about it. They always say, we're not going to say something because people are going to hold their breath and we're going to push it and people are going to be unhappy. And then they end up actually saying something that actually indicates some information around it. So here's something that Fatal said on the 7 Days to Die forums. He said, I have several months of work left for in Alpha 20 experimentals, so it's not soon. And I think this is something that actually syncs up pretty well what I was expecting. Normally the Fun Pimps like to release something before the Steam Summer Sale, of course, because it allows some hype, allows the streamer weekend, allows players to get in and start downloading and playing and testing it out and getting more sales for, of course, the Steam Summer Sale. And Fatale stated this in early February, so a few more months will leave us pretty much towards April, May before the June Steam sale. So personally, I would expect us to be in Alpha 20 similar around where we were in Alpha 19 last year, which means we have a lot of good things to look forward to for our summer. But what do you think? Give me your thoughts in the comment section below, and of course, if you haven't already, very gently tap that like button, of course nudge the subscribe button. And I look forward to having you back here for my next video. Be careful, Survivor.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the Vedui community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.